Hey guys, welcome to Let's Talk with Danuelle podcast. I'm so happy you guys are joining me today. I have a wonderful guest, and I already have her here on the show. Her name is Chelci Ari, and we're going to be kind of talking about um, starting the right business for you. And we're going to talk a little bit about her and her journey and finding her, her lane in this world. And so, yeah, we're going to dive into that. Chelsea, I want to thank you for being a guest on my show. I'm so excited.
Hey,
Hey,
I'm
say
so
hey to
excited.
everybody.
Thanks for having me. First time on here, but I know it's going to be so great because of the hosts, Miss Danielle.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Thank you. Everything happened today. Like, I got off a little later than what I planned. So I was like moving, trying to hurry up and get here because I was so excited. I did not want to be super, super late. And guys, I know it said 7 p.m. I kind of got here a little bit late, but that's okay. We're going to keep rolling. And if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel called Let's Talk with Danielle podcast, if you don't want to miss any new episodes, go ahead and subscribe. I would love for you guys to join in, communicate, conversate. If you have questions, make sure you interact with me. I really, really want to meet you guys. I really want to talk to some of some of you guys that are out there that I haven't got a chance to talk with, especially here in Dallas. A lot of my guests, some of them, not all, but a lot of them have been from Dallas, and that's where I'm born. I definitely want to meet you guys. It's from Dallas, Texas, that are starting businesses, organizations, moving, networking here in Dallas. So make sure you stay connected with me. All right, Chelsea. So before we get started, I have an icebreaker.
Okay,
Okay.
I'm ready.
Yeah, we're gonna give a little icebreaker before we tell the people about who you are and what you do. But give me just a second. I want to share this on my screen too. Okay.
Okay, I like icebreakers.
You do?
Curious, curious.
Yeah, me too. Let me see here. I know when I go live, sometimes it's just doesn't show up. So we're gonna make sure. Yep, I had to actually. It does this all the time where it makes me go in there and make it public. It doesn't automatically do it. So, all right. So yeah, here's the icebreaker. Before we get started, let me take a little sip. Let me take a little sip too.
I'll take one with you. I need
Mm-hmm.
a voice.
Okay. This is a kind of like a what if question. Um, so if someone had granted you or gifted you $1 million, but you can only spend it on a company or organization, what would that be and why? What would that business be or organization?
I like that icebreaker. Okay, so that's kind of like a few questions in one. So let me just try
Mm-hmm.
to focus on each of them. So if I was given $1 million, what sort of business, or you said that
Organization. Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely thinking more on the organization side. I like to give. I am a giver. I like to present my light wherever. So if I, as one person, can have like a organization that allows other people to come in and be creators,
Mm-hmm.
like just full force, like whatever resource they need, they have it at hand where they can then go and do whatever they want. But along the way, it's still like a community. So like
Oh, wow.
people or people that don't know where to start, don't have the funds for it, that can be an organization that can get you started. It's like an investment, but you don't have to
Mm-hmm.
pay it back or anything. It's just a matter of sharing all of the talent and resources that you have and like literally building it upon each other because it's one person and it'll be
Wow.
multiple people and
Kind
just
of like networking,
yeah, yeah.
like having kind of like we work, even though they're not selling anything or whatever, but they just created a space for creators and business owners to come, and I know it's not exactly the same, but something similar like that a little bit.
Yeah, I was having a conversation with my boyfriend the other day, and I
Mhm.
think it was actually earlier. I was telling him how like I just wish like instead of certain new buildings being built, like that can be utilized to
Wow.
house people, but make it be more of like, hey, you can't just use the facility. You got to actually work towards it, but the work will come in you working for
Hmm.
yourself because we're here to get you where you need to go.
Yeah.
Like kind of like an uplift sort of
Yeah.
organization where it's like we're here for you because there's a lot of people out here that don't know where to start, don't have the support, and it could be total strangers. And if I could be that stranger and have the money to do it, be like, what do you want to do?
I know.
I would love to do something like that where it doesn't just benefit one person, but like a multitude of people, and even through generations. Someone may find their purpose through your helping hand. And
That's true.
that's how I look at things.
That is so true. I want to answer that question too. So if I was granted $1 million, I would. So my main passion is writing, you know. So the second thing would be kind of somewhat similar to your idea, but it would be like well, not similar to your idea. It would actually be like a performing arts school,
Nice.
but it wouldn't just focus on like people with that can sing, or just focus on people who can dance. It would focus on all of the gifts:
Yeah.
writing, film, dancing, music, painting, all of the arts up under like this massive school.
Yeah.
So that's something I would love to see. I
Hmm.
mean, I'm pretty sure they do have some schools out there like that, like but outside of an institution, like outside of college,
Right, right.
like
Yeah.
something separate.
Yeah,
Uh,
I can see you doing that too, honestly.
and guys, not only is she my guest, sorry about that, guys. Not only is she my guest, she's actually my cousin. She's my family, and I have some really brilliant, amazing cousins that are moving and doing some great things here in this season, and in this season of their life, being that they're. I wanted to call you guys. Is it Gen Z? No.
I
What
don't
is
know if I want
it?
to consider myself a part of Gen Z. I always say I have like an old soul, but I think I'm considered in that.
I
Or
think so.
am I a millennial?
No, Brittany and Whitney are. I
Oh,
think they're millenniums.
okay. Mhm.
But your generation, to be honest with you, they have changed. Like in 2012, there were so many young ladies in 2012 jumping out, starting hair businesses, creating like hair products. They were young, 17, 18. They were out there creating businesses that will soon turn into like $1 million businesses. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's crazy to see one idea can transition into something big.
Hmm.
Like there was another young lady I saw on YouTube. I don't know her personally, but she started a candle business, and it blew up, especially during COVID
Yeah.
for some reason. But her idea and what she was doing was so catchy. Um, it just blew up. She couldn't even like maintain all of the orders that were coming in.
I can see that. I can see that because a lot of people were like inside. They were also wanting to support certain businesses, especially like a lot of Black owned businesses. And
Yes.
there's a lot of people without a job to rely on. So it made a lot of people wake up to like relying solely on themselves and figuring out what they would like to do. I feel like a lot of people my age too, like
Mhm.
hey, I'm about to be 27. So somewhere between like the ages of 21 through 30, so like the 20s, a lot of those people I saw like a transition,
Mhm.
also felt that transition like, whoa, okay, we're really like trying to figure out what it is that we're all wanting to do aside from working for someone else. It can only reach a certain limit to where you're like, okay, I know I have all this bottled up in me. What am I good at? What can I do? And I seen a lot of people younger than me like make a lot of money, not just make a lot of money, but make a huge influence on others. If she can do
Wow.
it, I can do it. If he can do it, I can do it. And why not build off of what you see in the community also?
Wow.
So
Can you tell us a little bit about your business and well, before you can get into your business, let's start off with your modeling. You also model. Is that something that you kind of do on the side, something you do for fun, or also part of like your career plan um, as well? Because some people do have multiple streams of income.
yeah, so I would definitely say it's more of like a side, not hobby, because I definitely wanted to get more serious. This year I did walk at LA Fashion Week Festival. So for me,
Yay.
that's my third show. I was like, whoa, okay, I can actually do something with this, you know? And I've always talked to my mother and told her if I can make an influence on a lot of people, like be in a position to be able to do that, I'm gonna strive for that. So if I'm a model, I'm networking, I'm meeting other people, I'm being able to be in the presence of other believers and just spread all that positivity. So with the modeling, it'll be nice, you know, to have like some funds coming in.
Opportunities. Hmm.
So yeah, definitely, but also meeting people and seeing how I can make an impact. I really focused on that a lot. People are going to be like, dang, she's always saying that. But like, I'm literally in that phase of my life, which I feel like it's going to be the rest of my life, where I'm like, okay, this is my purpose. This is what I love to do. I feel like this is right.
Hmm.
God's guided me. Let me continue to do it. And everything else, like my job and even like modeling and everything else, just kind of falls underneath that. But I try to
That's
keep my
right.
purpose at the forefront, you know? And I don't know, when I went out there to LA, it was nice being out there, you know, dressed in
Hmm.
the clothes from Baza Couture. It was so amazing working with, you know, the CEO of it, but also being there and encouraging the other young ladies that were timid or nervous. And, you know, I myself was nervous my first time walking at a show.
Yeah.
And even though that was my first LA show and a lot of those people may have been local, I was like, hey, you got this. Like when you walk out there, like this is what you're
Yeah.
here for. You're here now. Once you start walking, you can't turn back. So you might as well show the world what you got for the 2 minutes that you have. So I felt like I was meant to
Wow.
be on a deeper level too, not just to further my personal career path with
Hmm.
it, so the people that I come in contact with. So yeah, I like to do it on the side for fun and network, but there's a deeper meaning to it for me.
It's amazing that you say that because anytime you are a believer, a lot of times people think that, I'm a believer just when I go to church, or I'm a believer if you ask me about God. But basically, for me, I believe that everything I do is centered with God. Like, even on my job, even though that's a secular job, and of course I'm not gonna Bible thump them, but there's ways to let your light shine.
Yeah.
And if God, if there was opportunities where people I've met have come up to me and was like, yeah, and asked me questions about my faith, and I'm not ashamed to
Mm-hmm.
get down and tell them like, hey, this is what I believe. When you ask me, then that's an invitation for me to let this is my walk. I'm in love with God. And I believe God is the one that it's almost like God is like when you seek him, his like he's a mirror, and he will like reveal to you everything that you're, because even though you yourself, right, but there are certain things that you don't really know that you really can do, like your gifts, but you didn't know that you can actually pursue those things, because of what society may have said, or you're not gonna make no money being a writer. You're not like, I've heard so many people try to tell me like, okay, so what else do you have, like, but I'm like, I love writing, I'm a
Right.
storyteller,
Yeah.
I have other things that I love to do, and I have other streams of income that
Yeah.
that I'm in. But one of my major things is storytelling and writing, and publishing books. But many people told me, why are you wanting to do that? You're not going to make any money. But it didn't matter to me because I believe it's part of my purpose.
Yeah.
That's a way I can minister through my stories and entertain, make you laugh, make you cry, in my stories. But um with that being said, um like we were talking about God being the center of our lives, and everything else kind of fall up under it. And being connected to him, he has a way of kind of like leading you and revealing
Yeah.
different parts of you that you should go ahead and pursue. Do you believe right now in this season that you're in, that he's been doing that, whispering things and letting you know, just showing you things about yourself? And is that why you're driven to do the things that you're doing now?
Yes. And I love how things sync up. And literally, what you were just talking about, it goes back to kind of what I'm going through right now. Like, I've been at my full time job since 2019. Like, after I graduated college, I wanted something stable and secure, and I got that. And the timing with that, it was the season for that to happen. And I
Mhm.
have solely like all reliance and faith in God, and just knowing that if that could fall through how it did,
Wow.
without me having to stress about it and worry about it, why 5 years later worry about the next season I'm transitioning into? And I feel like that season is me completely steering away from working for someone else, because I know how much I have to offer and all the different things I do. And I was telling my mom, I was like, oh, it's just like this invisible wall. I can't get past it. What is it? And I'm not gonna lie, like being there at my job, I work from home, but I also go in person now. And it's just kind of crazy how everything's planning out. Like, I'm about to move, and my jewelry drop that I just launched this week, like doing all of that at once. And then I had said, when my braces come off, I don't want to have to work anymore. My braces are paid off. They're about to come off. So I'm like, God, like, is this,
God, hey.
but I have, like, I tell people I walk in faith. I walk by faith, not by sight.
Yes.
And with that being said, I don't know what's to come, but I know that God has like something great planned. I just got to go with the motion. So if I need to stay on this job in this physical realm
Mhm.
and go through, I will do it. I will do it. I know that in divine timing and in due timing, it will naturally flow. So all I can do is work hard in my free time,
Mhm.
make jewelry whenever I can, go try to, do the modeling, whatever I do have a passion for. That way, when the time does come, I not only got closer to God and learned more about myself, but I can fully put that into my work and let it actually show for it. So
Yeah.
yeah, I want to stop working for someone else and give all that time to myself. But I know how things have been planning out. I can't question it. It's working out organically and God ordained. So I'm
That's
not going to
good.
complain.
So, talking about the jury line,
Yeah,
I need to know the name of the
I'm
company.
wearing one right now. One of my necklaces.
It's so beautiful.
Thank you.
I mean, I love it. What you gave me some photos,
Mhm.
but I definitely need to know, like, before the end of the show, you'll send me a link on how our viewers can actually you
Definitely.
know have access to your line, and tell us when they're going to be available and all that good stuff. But
Yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
how did this start? Like, what made you want to start this jury line? And yeah.
It makes me excited thinking about it. Okay, so like I was saying a second ago, like after college, I wanted to find a secure job. Over the past 5 years, I've been learning more about myself. And it's crazy because I remember my grandmother on my dad's side, my grandma
Mhm.
Dorothy, giving me some jewelry. It was like a necklace, a bracelet, and some earrings, and she handmade them. And this was probably when I was in elementary. And I still have them to this day. And it just kind of went away from my mind, like, hey, someone in your bloodline knows how to make handcrafted jewelry. Whenever COVID happened and I was working from home, I was still working, but I was working from home. I was able to maneuver and do things. And I wanted to like make my own waist chains to wear, body jewelry. And I was like, you know what? Through the makings of my businesses, I've also encouraged people. Like, people have reached out to me, hey, I'm now doing this because I've seen what you've done, and people just don't know the amount of resilience I've had. But knowing that it was encouraging people, I was like, okay, I actually really do love this, for one, and it's also like it's influencing others to do something that they love as well.
Mhm.
And I had the time to just continue to do it, and I just love to do it. And I would learn from videos, but it just kind of came natural. It came natural. Um, but before then, I wasn't even really doing anything. And I say COVID specifically, like being
Mhm.
inside and knowing what I want. Because when I was younger, I actually wrote down and said I wanted to have a boutique. I grew up and went to high school. I was doing a lot of things in school, distracted. I was just unconsciously living. I was aware, but not consciously fully like.
Yes.
And so it took up until after college and COVID happened for me to be like, my dream, like I need to make my boutique. I love to, it just organically happened, but it was like I forgot. And then I remember, like, Chelsea, no, you wanted
Mhm.
this when you were younger. And crazy enough, like you have it in your bloodline. Like your grandmother knows how to make jewelry, like it's in you. And when I realized that it was just in me, I was like, okay, it's in me. Let me do this, but let me make sure it has purpose. And like, that's like another conversation because, like, the name, it means like,
Yeah, tell
you
us the
know,
name. Yeah.
so the name is Ari Descent. Ari Descent is a handmade boutique. Right now I have jewelry, so like necklaces, rings, bracelets, anything you want really. I make custom pieces. Um, as everyone can see, my name is Chelci Ari. So Ariel is my middle name, but I never had a
Mhm.
nickname growing up, so I chose Ari. And so Sine, my sister, she was actually with me one day, and she's really good at names. And we were
Yes.
just kind of like thinking about it. And she actually mentioned iridescent because I said like some pronouns that I just kind of want how I want the
Mhm.
vibe of the word. And iridescent, it's like a clear, just magical array of
Yeah.
colors. And so she said iridescent. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so perfect. Ariel iridescent. And when I started to really put the purpose into the jewelry line, not just because I dreamed of doing it, because I enjoy it, but putting the
Mhm.
actual purpose in it, it to sum it up, I'm uniquely myself, Ari, and I'm uniquely a part of the one and only true God. And so when you look at the word iridescent on my logo, just the way it's even set up, like the A, oh, can I present it? Is there any way I can share it?
Um, you know what? I was going to, oh, everyone, you know what? Hey, everybody. Y'all say, I'm seeing the comments. I didn't even share
Oh, I
them
can't
to
see
you.
the comment.
You can't see the comments? Let me see. Can't
Oh, let
post
me go
comments.
to it.
Let me see.
Oh,
You can see the comments. Shell. It's something I'm supposed to be doing. See that? Ariel. It's crazy. Today has been really weird. So sorry that you couldn't see the comments yourself. Maybe it's
oh no, I
something
can see
set
them
up. I
now.
did. You see them now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great, 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 great.
But
So
on the name, people were able to see it. Like, I wish I had one of my cards, but it just kind of puts together like who I am in my own unique way, but also who I am as a child of God. And I put it together in one word. So that's pretty much, what I was trying to
mhm.
explain. But yeah, it's a mere reflection of what I believe in, who I believe in, and myself, and you know, how I can spread that light and energy through my jewelry pieces. When people wear it, I've had people put things on like, oh, I feel so beautiful. And I'm like,
Yeah,
you
they
really
look really
do.
nice. Your necklace is absolutely beautiful. Can you like show it one more time? Your necklace?
Let me speed it back.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful to me. And I've seen
Thank
some of your
you.
pieces before, and I literally was like, "Where is she getting this?" That's how I discovered. You're like, "Cousin, that I created that." I'm like, "Wait, wait, wait, wait."
Yeah, it's so fun. Like going and
Yeah.
finding pieces. I just find different things that I like, and then I
Mhm.
come home and put it together. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'll just make multiples of those. That's a good design. I just freestyle it.
I know, and you're really good with like you're also somewhat a social influencer, somewhat because in depending on what season you're in, because you and your sister, you guys were out there modeling, you did a little bit of photography, right?
Yeah, I
You
still
do
love
it
to do
all.
yeah, yeah. There's like a whole list of things that I purely enjoy doing. Like if I could wake up and just start doing those things, I would be walking around with like a permanent smile. I already smile a lot now. But I'll be walking around with like a permanent smile. They're like, dang, she's happy. Yes, I'm happy. I love to take photos. I like to set up the backdrops for different things like proms or even like creative shoots for like newborns, or I'm doing a photo shoot for the kids this weekend, my nieces and nephews. Yeah, so I
Yay.
like putting things together, like in any sort of creative, directive matter. I like to.
Hmm. So, what are the things that you can tell people who, no matter what age they are, because like you said, you were in college and you had went to high school, distractions. Sometimes you're just not thinking about what you're really, who you are and
Yeah.
what you're really good at. What would you say to someone that may be thinking this in their mind, like, I don't really know what I'm really good at, or I want to do something other than working at a 9 to 5. I just need to, I just don't really know what is right for me. What would you say to that person?
So number one thing I would tell them is to pray about it. Um, we may not see things how they're meant to be seen,
Hmm.
so we have to have patience. Um, I always say just go for it. Try it. You can't knock it till you try it. So, like with the jewelry, let's say I'm like, okay, I want to make jewelry, and it just didn't work out for me somehow. That would have been, I like to see it as, okay, it's just not for me, or I didn't try hard enough. Because once you test your limits, you'll be surprised by the things you can do. All you have to do is literally remain resilient. I remember
Hmm.
times where I've had pieces that just did not work out, and I'm like, okay, maybe this is not what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm like, no, this brings me a lot of joy. Do it again, do it again. And when I would get it, the happiness that I would feel, like, oh my gosh, I didn't give up. I actually did it. And the product turned out nice. And you can see your work and you can take pride in your work. And you'll want to try again. And when you come across any sort of those stumbling blocks again, you know yourself better now. You're like, no, I fell one time, but I remember I got up. It took some time, but I got up. And all that matters is that I got
Hmm.
up. So just
That's
try it.
good.
Just try it. And if it's like a passion of yours, it's going to come to you naturally, and it may
Hmm.
be uncomfortable because you're not used to it, but just continue to get to know yourself, because when you get to continue to know yourself, you you show the love that you have for something just through your walk. you know when you're going to when I set up events, I feel very happy. When you're doing your podcast, I'm sure you feel like enjoyed.
Yeah.
I would say that to someone, just tough it
Yeah.
out. Work to the end, because
That's good. That's good advice because, I think one reason why, and I say this all the time, that I started the podcast was to have, guests like yourself on the show to talk how they got started, share a little bit about who they are, because somebody out there might be thinking in their mind that, you know what, I'm too young for this, or I'm too old for this. I used to like doing this. I used to could sing. I met so many people in my life where they can sing really great, but they do nothing with their voice,
yeah.
because in their mind they do not think they can make a living off of it. But to be honest with you, sometimes it's not just being a superstar. Sometimes there are other avenues that your gift can be used.
Hmm.
You don't, like, if I was a singer, it doesn't necessarily mean that I should pursue actually a career. Maybe I should be, depending on how much I like kids. Let's say I love kids. I can actually make a living off of actually being a singing coach. You can make money doing that,
Hmm.
there's so many ideas that you can actually do. It doesn't necessarily mean that just because I like kids that I can be a teacher. There are other avenues that you could be not just a teacher in a sense, like at an elementary school. You can be you can teach children art, or if you're good
Hmm.
at acting, or whatever it is. If these are
Right.
some of the things that you like to do, there are so many avenues you can go. It doesn't necessarily have to mean main, like entertainment all the time. It could be something that you can use daily and create a business out of it.
Hmm.
Like, I like writing, but I also do writing coaching. People don't know that, but I have coached Started coaching in 2016. I have literally coached over 40 people from Miami all across the globe because
Right.
virtual. I was doing virtual before COVID.
Mhm.
If it's conference calls or virtual online, I was being a writing coach. I had so many ideas and so many, just to boost them along their writing journey. That's what a writing coach is. And that's another avenue. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be in the mainstream, the light and the cameras. Nothing wrong with that. But
Yeah.
a lot of people are scared because they don't want the mainstream. And that's one reason why they don't pursue, something dealing with their gifts. But
And
oh,
plus
I got
nowadays
another question for you. Go ahead.
things things are a little different. And honestly, like there's a lot of artists out here where a lot of the things they sound the same, look the same. Me, I'm all for being different. And I feel like everyone has something unique to offer to the world. No matter how many people do it, it depends on how you do it and the influence that it's having, you know? And like also going back to what you were just talking about, I don't want to forget this, but also with the having the time to be able to like do things for myself. I've talked to people that may or may not be pursuing the same thing that I am as a young entrepreneur. So it's a bit harder for people to understand like, so how are you gonna pay for this, that? And I'm like, a way's gonna be made, you know, like that's fear. I feel like, you know, I don't idolize money. Like my everything else is going to turn out fine. Why would I make money stop me, like hinder me from fulfilling my gifts, you know, and like what I'm
Mhm.
here to do? I'm not here, for me personally, I'm not here to sit on a computer all day and do something that's not benefiting my dreams or my purpose. I could be
Mm.
fulfilling my purpose at my job by my interactions with people and, you know, helping.
Small limit. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah. But at the same time, it, I would also tell people as a word of advice, do not idolize money more than your natural gifts and your dreams. Because people could always ask you, well, how are you going to eat? How are you going to do this? Because like you're saying, people are like, well, you don't make money from that. That's not my focus. So that's why I'm able to be, you know, head on
Hmm.
straight. Like whatever's going to come is going to come because I'm not worried about, I'm
Yeah.
responsible and I'm thinking of that, but I'm not letting that fear drive, you know, my next step.
Yeah.
You
Your
know,
next
hold
stop.
people back. Like, no, I'm too afraid to take that leap, or no, this is more secure. I don't want to ever be too comfortable. And I feel like if you have a creative gift, don't be
That's
comfortable.
good. That's good. I like that. Don't be too comfortable.
Mhm.
Go out on faith.
Yeah.
Um, I think for me, I'm gonna say this. Before I actually started publishing my books, it took me years. And that, like I said, this is one reason why I started this podcast because I don't want people to be like me. Uh,
Oh
it
no.
literally took me years. I've been writing. You know that your cousin has been writing for years. I would bring you guys and share my stories to you guys when y'all were little. Y'all were my audience. But for me, it was like, why did I take so long to move in something that I love to do?
Yeah.
I didn't have to get paid for it. I mean, I was just go and write. No one, I didn't think of, oh, this is money tied to it. So I'm going to do it because there's money tied to it. I did it because I saw this storyline. I saw these characters. I saw God. God was talking to me about, um, love and ministering through the stories. And at the time I really didn't know the deepness of it.
Yeah.
But it took me in 2012 where God was like, because I was praying, asking God, well, what am I supposed to be doing in this world? And the Lord said, you know your gifts because I already given them to you.
Yes.
And it's in the things that you love to do.
Yep.
Like, like you love to do these
Oh.
already, you know?
Mhm.
It's in the things that we enjoy. It's in the things, and sometimes the devil, the enemy, I'll say the enemy, because he
And
can come in so many forms, like distractions, like, even through within ourselves, just not really valuing ourselves to that level. of embracing who we are. It's
Mhm.
when I believe when we begin to walk in that self love, we begin to see ourselves. And that come up when I'm talking about like when you're seeking God, it's like he brings this mirror and he begins to show you everything he put in you.
Mhm.
And we say, well, why is it so important to talk about purpose? Why is it so important to talk about whether or not I'm doing what I'm supposed to do? And then, like I said, doing what you're supposed to do is just if it's just like you said, if it's just talking to someone, going to volunteer, it could be you going to volunteer every Saturday and sit down and talk with the elderly.
Right.
That could be your joy. It doesn't even necessarily mean it has to be a business. It could
Mhm.
be something tied to your purpose that you have to go to a place to talk to the elderly or teenagers or talk about something you've experienced, whether it's some because a lot of people in COVID in the season where people were experiencing thoughts of suicide,
Depression. Yeah.
depression. And
Mhm.
so when you get delivered from that,
Mhm.
sometimes it's not good to just sit on it and like, okay, I got delivered. Well, how did you get delivered? Can you share that with somebody else, even if it's one person, even if it's three people?
Right.
What are you doing with that? Because as believers, God will use every part of our lives. In the
Mhm.
book of Genesis, God, it says that God blessed Abraham, right? He didn't just bless Abraham in one area, he blessed Abraham in all the areas of his life. So it is important that we make sure, like you said earlier, you said, well, you're like, well, Danielle, um, I love God, but all the things that I do falls up under God. It's like God is head, but everything else, even your gifts, doesn't rank over God, which
And
is
that's
good.
when you have to like lower your pride. Like I probably put my pride to the side, and some people may not be able to do that. It's like, well, I've heard someone mention before, like, well, while we're living here in our lives, like, why can't I do things I do, even if it may be considered secular? But it's like, you let your
Chelsea,
pride come.
not to cut you off. I'm so
Oh,
sorry. Did you see me just like wave? I look so weird. Wait a minute. We have a guest who said, "Hey, from what is that? Manchester, England."
Manchester, England.
Yeah. So hey, thank you for watching. But
Perfect.
I don't know why I just waved. I looked just so weird. Sorry.
No, you're
But we want to thank everyone who's been watching.
right.
Especially if you're from England, wherever you're at. We just want to thank you, even our family and friends.
Yeah, yeah,
Go
definitely.
ahead. I'm sorry. You were saying something
Oh,
really good
no,
too.
you're fine. But yeah, it's crazy because like when you start to like talk about like really good things, like we get so wrapped up in it, and like I almost forgot that it was alive. But I knew it was live. I almost forgot. I was like, oh snap, there are people still on here. But well, yeah, I
Because we always talk on the phone like this.
yeah, I really enjoy talking about things that have meaning. And that brings up my next point, adding value. If you don't idolize money before your gifts, you can look at your gift as like you're adding value to the world. It may not be in the form of currency or paper,
Hmm.
but it comes in another type of wealth. And that wealth is rare nowadays. Being able to share love. There's a lot of us out there, and I'm speaking on behalf of a young, middle aged 20-year-old
Mm-hmm.
and what I experience with the people in my generation.
Yeah.
It's, I feel like
Come on.
a lot of it does have to do with inner work.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are so wrapped up in their traumas or just whatever they're going through, their pride is above putting God first. And I feel like I am able to move. I'm not saying I don't have hardships and everything. Oh, life still happens. I have
Mm-hmm.
hard times, but I have faith and I'm humble. I try not to be prideful. I'm like, well, no, Chelsea, this is why you're doing this. It's not like, well, I'm supposed to be able to live my life out. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
And that's my pride. I put your pride to the side. It's deeper than that. And I just feel like my generation lacks value and meaning. So when someone like me is like, hey, yeah, I love to do this, if it's not, making a lot of money, some people
Hmm.
may not appreciate it. Others will appreciate it because there's other value behind it.
Like chasing the bag. Are you saying like a lot of, and it might not just be in your generation, but a lot of people do things for of
Oh,
course
for
we
sure.
want money, we want
Mhm.
success, we want money, we want that, but it's not something that is money is not the reason why.
Yeah.
It's not the reason why, because some opportunities that are offering money um are not good opportunities. And especially in your field when you're a model. So how do you balance that, like opportunities? You're a beautiful young lady. Um,
Oh, thank you.
so when people and opportunities are coming your way, you know, how do you deal with that?
Um, that's a good question.
Opportunities that are like, let me say that better, which I think you know what I'm talking
No,
about.
no,
But
yeah, you make
like,
sense.
like opportunities that look really great, but they might want you to do this, that, and you know,
So I definitely have had to turn down some opportunities um, because even though I model, I still represent myself because I'm not signed to an agency. I'm a freelance model, I say. So a lot of times I can say what I want to do, what I don't want to do. And I've had to look at certain situations for how they are and be like, does this represent me? And I've experienced some that I didn't realize until after the fact, like, okay, no, I don't want to do that one anymore. That's not
mhm,
really my style. I just did it because it was for the experience. I don't let the
yeah,
experience override, like
right with that.
my core values, if that makes sense. And I've had to look at things differently in that perspective.
Say that one more time. You said like there are some things you did do before, and in
Like,
that season, you won't. In that season, you did it, but in this upcoming season, you're like, no, I'm not gonna do that anymore. I'm
yeah,
looking for something else.
exactly. And this last, okay, so before the LA show, I did a show in September 2022. It was the second time doing a show for someone. So, I thought everything was okay. But because I was comfortable, um, I got put in a bad position
Hmm.
and actually didn't get paid for the modeling. And that was something that was in agreement beforehand. And so it really put me in a weird space. And I had to look at my modeling and be like, okay, this is how I want things to go for now on. For one, I'm going to make sure that it's done, I'm paid beforehand if it is a paid event. Secondly, if it doesn't represent what I'm growing and flourishing into, it can't go with me.
When you say
So,
represent, what do you mean? Like for you,
uh,
just in
for
case if
me,
other Christian young ladies and or just women of faith, um, and we all have our levels. Because some things I might do, some women of faith like, no, that's too much for me, and I'm like, I'm cool with this. But you explain what you mean by that.
yeah. So, for instance, I'm the face of Ari. So when my brand is out there, people are looking at different things. It's going to come back to me. So
Gotcha.
it can mean multiple things for me, not just the clothes, for instance. I want to move more into my style of things, but that's why I want to, push my
Mhm.
business. Also, the person behind it. How are their values and how do they respect other people? Because for me, one thing, like when people model for me, I want them to feel like they're respected and they're valued and I appreciate them versus, okay, we're just getting a job done. So the person has to represent my core values. And I'm not saying that everyone's gonna, I don't have this checklist or anything, but it's
Yeah.
just overall, like, do our characters match up? If someone were to see me and what I represent in my walk, with God or
Yeah.
just even my personal life, how I value family, like when I do certain things that will make my family look crazy. It's just like I
Yes.
want to make sure that sort of business relationship is equally yoked, but
Yeah.
also just with the branding of things. I like to be organized, and I think some people, when they're comfortable with a lot of people, they can get a little unorganized. And I like to be organized. And
That's a good tip too. For
yeah,
like business wise, if you're trying to start a business, you got to make sure that you're organized, focus on I'm hearing you talk. And for those who do want to start their own business, there are some of the things you want to do. Make sure you're organized, and then make sure you focus on your branding, and whatever you do outside of that can affect your
yes,
business.
most
Yeah,
definitely.
that's good.
It's just like a by association thing, know. And I'm never the type of person to judge or anything. Like I love everyone,
Yeah,
but when you're shown something, you can't just unsee it. It'd be like, oh, you saw this, you're aware of this. Does this fit into your values and everything? And I'm not saying that it's necessarily the type of modeling, but it's literally the environment of modeling that I'm more wary of. So when I had like the LA opportunity, I was like, this is perfect. It's organized, it's professional
mhm.
people, it's different brands, it's not just crazy stuff, a lot of things to consider with it. And I'm still learning as a young model, freelance, like I said, not even signed to anyone. And so if I can look back in the next few years and be like, okay, my portfolio,
Wow.
this, if someone were to see like how did I model, whatnot, these are going to be the things I want people to see my work for.
One more question, and then we're gonna wrap it up. I kind of had you on here because I enjoy talking to you so
Yeah,
much. Um, so
you know
ask
I,
me two more things, huh?
I said I can talk to.
We both remember one time we stayed on the phone for a while,
Yeah, there's
but it
no
was so
telling.
good because we hadn't talked to each other because we're so busy, and you're doing your thing and I'm doing my thing. So it's always good, catching up with you and finding out what you're doing. But where do you see your business, like, since you're just launching it? Did you just launch it now, or
Well,
you're going to launch it?
I launched, I started the brand like initially, like, hey, here's Ari Descent on my birthday
Mhm.
last year. I thought it would be a cool little birthday gift to launch my business. But I didn't put out anything up until I started pre-launching like a couple months
Oh,
ago.
okay.
And so now this week, this past Monday, I believe, or Sunday, I was like,
Mhm.
hey, the website's available. You guys can go and purchase.
Yay.
And that's aridescent.com.
Great. I'm gonna actually you're gonna send me that link, and then I'll
Yes.
post it up under our video. And so anyone that wants to check out your website and your jewelry line and all the other items that you're gonna soon probably are you gonna soon do anything else other than the jewelry line, or do you have other items right now?
Yeah.
Or,
So right now, since it's just an online boutique, I add as I create.
okay,
So I
great.
have like some necklaces and earrings and some rings on there. I still have jewelry that's already made, but it's a soft launch. So I'm slowly adding them onto the site. So it's going to be like a continuous thing. So come 5 months from now, it's going to be more stuff on there, but maybe some of the same stuff that was on there right now. So
That
yeah.
is so awesome because I get excited because I like finding new and unique things. So if
Mhm.
you're like me, guys, if you love um not being the same or finding like jewelry accessories that are different, make sure you check out Chelci line, and yeah, make sure you support her as well, guys. She's our young entrepreneur out here doing her thing and a model. I'm glad, hopefully we both have shared some great tips and advice, most of all motivation, inspiring. It's good to hear people talk about the conversation, so you're like, yeah, they're talking about me. I have some things I need to do, whether it's a book or, like I said, it doesn't have to be a business. If it's an organization or a networking group and
Mhm.
you haven't started it yet, this is your season, guys. Go ahead and start it. Do all the little things that you need to do. Don't stay there. Um, what else, Chelsea? What else can we share when we're starting our business? Don't
Also,
stay there with the resources, but
yeah, and the support is always there. We have a heavenly Father that is in our corner at
ooh,
all times to support you. There's
Yeah.
going to be times where there's a lot of people around. There's going to be times when there's no one but you and yourself. But do not wrap yourself in that time alone, because that could be the most valuable time for you to hear
Good.
God and to understand your next step in your business or even in your personal life.
That is good. I like that. And while you were talking, I was thinking, you said spend time alone. It just popped in my head. You know the scripture where the servant was left, the servants were left alone, and I might be saying this wrong, guys, because I didn't memorize the scripture. But he was left alone, and the master, who, when he came back, and the servant basically, they buried their talents. And well, one of them did, and he didn't do anything, and the other ones did. They multiplied their talents. Um and it was crazy because, the thing was, he thought he was doing something great when he took his one talent and buried it and didn't do anything with it. And I believe that's so powerful, because God is like, I don't care if you know how to um knit or whatever, crochet or whatever it is. He said, do something with it.
Mm-hmm.
Do something with it. I put you on earth. Time is precious. We get like, we get one life here on earth. And then when our time is up, we go to heaven. And well, not all of us.
Oh, no.
If we are connected with God, and I don't know why I brought this up on my podcast. I know I'm going to get a lot of comments like, why would you say that? Like, why would you say that?
Y'all don't come for my cousin.
Oh my God. I
That's
try to
funny.
I try to be safe, because I don't want nobody's like, so you mean to tell me everybody's not going to heaven? No, I'm a woman of God, and I believe in the Holy Bible. And some of you who don't, I understand. Don't come for me if you don't believe in the Bible. It's okay. It's okay. We don't have to believe in the same thing. We don't have to fight each other. But anyway, so yeah, we get, basically what I'm saying is, we get one life here on earth. No matter what we believe in, what happens in the afterlife, we know that we get one life here on earth. So we got to use it and love on people, do everything that we need to do here on earth, and use our gifts.
Yes.
Anything
Love.
else, Chelsea, you want to say before we leave?
Thank you for having me again. This is actually my first podcast, and I would love to come on here again and talk about anything else. If you guys have any suggestions for any future conversations with Miss Danuelle and I, please let her know. That way she can bring me back and we can bring more gems. And hopefully you guys have questions about this podcast that, not only she can answer, that we can answer both.
Yep.
We're all here. We're a
For
big community.
modeling, for those who want to get into modeling as well and be a freelance model or business, yeah, go ahead and leave those comments, and me or Chelsea will be looking later, because some of you might watch this much later. You might be watching this much later after the live. So yeah, we definitely will jump in and comment and answer any questions you might have. All right,
Yeah.
guys. I don't look, guys. Look, I get quiet towards the end because I hate to leave, because the conversation is always good. But I want to thank everyone who support the podcast by joining in. And for those who will be watching later, make sure if you're not connected or subscribed to my YouTube channel called Let's Talk with Danuelle, go ahead and subscribe, stay connected. The reason why I want you to be connected, not just to watch, I kind of want to interact with you guys. I'm here in Dallas. Those who have started their businesses, who wants to come on the show and talk about how they got started, want to talk about things about, well, whether it's your organization, go ahead and message me, and I would love to talk with you and make sure bring you on the show. Also, my show is not just about business. We have different topics like relationships and family, and of course God. All right, guys, thank you guys for joining in. You guys have a wonderful day. Bye, Chelsea.
Bye.